It's time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. Cloudy conditions today around 8 a.m. with a high of 67 degrees. It's currently 44 degrees here in Milwaukee.
I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Crowd is here, about to blow, waiting for me to start the show. Out the curtain, lights go up from home. Whoa!
Listen to this crowd. Phones are out trying to capture some good vibes. 2-2. Fly ball to deep right! It is way back and down! Yearly delivers in the clutch. It's his first career pinch hit home run, and he left nothing in the tank.
My God, how far did that go? A bomb.
Got a curtain call, and deservedly so.
And that's called having a good time. Let's have some fun, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah, baby.
9-7 Brewers over the Sox, the series sweep. And Christian Yelich with the late heroics in the bottom of the eighth that led that team to one hell of a comeback. And Jeff Levering is mid-season form on Brewers TV.
I mean, he's the best.
What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. What a weekend for sports.
I mean, it was everything. This was exactly what we wanted. We just got through the dry period, right? Like, now baseball is here. And I got to say, I know that the way that the Brewers season started last year was not great, but it seems like they never took a break. We talked about, is this going to be a new team? No. This is literally all the excitement we enjoyed from last season right off the bat.
Let's play catch up, shall we?
Okay.
Packers.
Well, let's get this out of the way quick so we can talk about the Brewers.
Yeah.
The NFL annual league meeting started yesterday in Phoenix. They'll go through Wednesday. Matt Schneidman and a bunch of the guys on the beat are down there. Schneid noted on Twitter yesterday that Matt LaFleur will speak with reporters this morning at 9:45 a.m. Wisconsin time in Phoenix at those head coach breakfast deals. It will be the first time we hear from Matt LaFleur since the day after the season ended in really bad fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Real bad. So plenty to discuss. Gannon, Bisaccia, Acord, his own extension, roster moves. We'll see how much he has to say, but that's coming up at 9:45. So, Josh, you and I get to worry about that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a future us problem.
But in the 8 o'clock hour, if you were at the breakfast table with Matt LaFleur this morning, what would you say? What questions would you have, knowing that you have a small window? If you had to get one thing answered from the Packers offseason, let's talk about that at about 8:30 this morning. What would you ask Matt LaFleur, just for a little clarity? What just help my noodle understand this from the offseason, Matt? and we'll get your feedback then. On the Nicolay Law talk and text line, 414-677-1250. That's how you can get with us to share all of your thoughts on the Milwaukee Brewers weekend.
Brewers.
Baseball is back.
Woo!
Let's listen to the Yelly home run call from the Brewers Radio Network and our guy Lane Grindle, who joins us this morning at 7 a.m. Lane, take it away.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Yelich, a high drive, deep right, down the line, fair and gone. Christian Yelich, a 3-run blast. And the Brewers have come all the way back in the 8th inning. It is 9-7 Crew.
We should probably mention Saturday just real quick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like so long ago. Brewers won 6-1 on Saturday. It had 12 hits. And that was encouraging because it was what we've been calling for a long time, small ball Brewers baseball. They just got a bunch of singles and maybe a couple doubles, and they got guys around the bases, and it was just a great outing for the bats. It was just awesome to see. They weren't dependent on anyone or anything. It was just the collective we. Yesterday was a bit of a different story. And Brandon Sproat, who, hey, welcome to Milwaukee, got hung out to dry on the mound by Pat Murphy, and I think it was one of the best managerial decisions I've ever seen in sports. Anybody and their mother would have pulled him out of the game at the beginning yesterday. All right, just don't got it today, bud. No worries. We'll get him next time. Not Murph. You're going to sit there and figure this out, son.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, the rest of the dugout, all you guys, if you think you're going to get into a pinch and I'm just going to come bail you out, you're wrong. And I think, Josh, that spoke volumes to the rest of the team and had a lot to do with them coming back yesterday.
I'm sure it did. I mean, the other thing, too, though, is that I don't think at any point Murph or this team truly count themselves out. I think that was the mentality from last year that we all enjoyed so much as fans. If there was a point yesterday when you went, all right, now that might be it. It might have been at the end of the 7th when it was still 7-3. And you went, okay, they got the 8th and the 9th. But up to that point, when it was 4-0, you didn't sit there going, all right, well, that's the game. Let's find something else to do. Because this Brewers team just keeps, that's what they did all last year, right? They called them the Woodpeckers because they just kept pecking and coming back little bit by little bit by little bit. And I was like, please let that exist this year too. And it absolutely did.
The game went back and forth, not from a score standpoint, but just from a rally standpoint. Sox 4-0 in the first. It was 4-0 before an out was actually had. Problematic. But then, look, bottom of the first, Gary Sanchez, 2-run dinger. All right, we got this. We're only 2 runs back. Top of the second, White Sox score 2. Okay, 6-2. And then in the third, a solo shot, 7-2. And then Lockridge with an RBI single in the bottom of the 6th brings it to 7-3. And then the 8th inning happens. Terang, RBI single. Rengifo, 2-run single. And Yelly with his first career pinch hit home run. Brewers win 9-7 after Trevor McGill comes in and gets the save. So many different reactions, so many different sound bites, whether it's our guy Jeff Levering on Brewers TV to open the show, Lane Grindle there from the Brewers Radio Network, who will join us at 7 a.m. to talk about what was an amazing opening weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers. At 8 o'clock, our guy Tim Allen joins us, and the reaction that he and Tommy had on the postgame show was pure joy.
Oh, it was all of us. It was incredible.
A lot of Brewers baseball to cover today. So much to get to this week, too. They're not done. Games today, tomorrow, Wednesday, off day Thursday, and then back on the field Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I would like it no other way. It was so awesome to see what happened yesterday. I was in my living room. My boys were in their rooms doing their thing. Amanda's with me. And I'm kind of doing a bunch of work and looking up and looking down and just paying attention to the best That's someone with a level of ADHD that is just going to kill me someday. And Amanda goes, you might want to watch this. And I'm like, what? She's like, oh, you're kind of paying attention, but you're kind of not. I think you're going to. And I look up and I'm like, oh.
Good for her.
Yeah, that was a very nice gesture in her part. And then boom, the home run happens. And all I did, Josh, and I want to know what happened to you too. I just sat back and I put my hands in the air and I started laughing. I just started laughing because you just can't make it up how the Brewers just keep on doing this. And we talked for weeks. Can they keep doing this? Yeah, they can. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Where were you?
So I'm sitting on the couch. I'm watching the game on my phone as Julie and I are laying out like what's happening this week. And like, she's like going through the calendar. She's like telling me what's going on. And then I just go, no way. And she goes, really? You can't take Jordy to the park? And I went, oh, no. Sorry. Just incredible comeback win happening over here from the Brewers. Just incredible. And she's like, oh, okay. Do you need a minute? I was like, I think I do. Yeah, I probably need a minute. This is insane.
Twitter.
Go ahead. I was going to say
say
it was out of nowhere. It was insanity. It was like I said earlier, you wanted to believe it could happen again, that this team could continue to make moments like this. But for the first series, within the first series of the season, to give us a moment that we're going to talk about throughout the season, incredible.
The 920 the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. I'm going to be punchy today with crap like this.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm putting it out there right now.
Good.
Do not rain on my parade that this was the White Sox and we need to keep this into perspective. If that's the truth, then last year's losses to the Yankees to open up the season would have buried this team. So if the losses against the Yankees to open the series didn't matter, then we can't put just as equal negative weight as wins would have against a bad team in baseball last year, new team this year, in the Chicago White Sox. Furthermore, you can't go down 4-0 in the first and 7-2 in the sixth inning and tell me that comeback was only possible because it was against the White Sox.
Preach. Get him.
Can't handle it.
That's
not the way we're starting this week. That is one of the best Brewers opening weekends in history, including a comeback victory in a Major League Baseball game yesterday. Brewers win 9-7, start the season 3-0. There's one segment today where we're going to talk about the Packers at about 8:30. Other than that, we'll sprinkle, but it's Brewers baseball super duper heavy, as it should be, as we kick off Inside Wisconsin Sports on a Monday. Packers, check. Brewers, check, but like so much more. Badgers, look at this.
Yeah.
Badgers.
Back in the Frozen Four is Wisconsin hockey. Here is what, and this is the entire overtime, Josh.
Yep.
Here's what the entire overtime sounded like in order to send the Badgers back to the Frozen Four.
Next goal wins a ticket to the Frozen Four in Vegas. Fitzgerald on a backhand, wedged it in deep. Russell can't get to the puck. Caught! No! Viva Las Vegas on Wisconsin to the Frozen Four! The comeback is complete for Wisconsin. 3 unanswered goals and 24 seconds into OT. This one bounced in.
Wisconsin Badgers, hockey school, period.
Hockey school. Certainly this year, we'll take it. The Badgers men's hockey team back in the Frozen Four for a hot minute, going for their first national championship since 2006, I believe. Think about that. Now, here's the deal.
20 years.
Michigan, North Dakota, Denver, and Wisconsin in the Frozen Four. That all starts in Las Vegas on the 9th, Thursday the 9th, and then the title game is Saturday the 11th. 100% chance already looked into flights to Las Vegas.
Yeah, Billy. There you go.
We'll see. Highly doubtful based on what I saw on my calendar yesterday, but never say never.
All right.
Doing the show from Vegas on a Friday morning.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. Michigan is favored at 37% to win the Frozen Four. They're the number one overall team in the country. North Dakota, 28%. They're the number 2 team in the country. Denver, 20%. And there's the Badgers, 16% favorites to win the national championship for hockey.
Well, you got to remember, there was a point not too long ago where a lot of Badger men's hockey fans were going, "Oh, this team really fell off. They need to get it back." And so for them to climb back and keep fighting and finding ways to win, and then, as it said in the highlight there, 3 unanswered to come back, including the overtime winner, to go to the Frozen Four. Hell yeah. Attaboy.
The third period was a doozy as well. I mean, it was 3-1, blink, 3-3, overtime, blink, 34 seconds, Badgers win.
Yeah.
And then off to neighborhood supper club we went on Saturday night. Absolute blast of a weekend. Not so much for the Bucks.
Okay.
Bucks.
The Bucks did get one thing right over the weekend. And so let's go to the positive first. And then we'll talk about the reality situation that is the Bucks. It was Brooke Lopez's first game back in Milwaukee since leaving. This is the video that the Bucks put together for Brooke.
Brooke is a cheat code. He can rebound the ball, score the ball for us. He can make 3.
The drive finds Lopez coming and slamming. Rejected by Lopez.
Making it tough for everybody that comes in the paint.
It's a real dreamscape here, you know? Just look at this, look at all these people. It's so special, you know, so I just can't put it into words. The painting of the Ghostbusters, but put our players on there, the trophy floating on the cloud.
I am so grateful to have someone like Brooke to come into our school environment.
You just can't ever lose faith in it.
The Lopez Cinematic Universe. It's a fantastic crossover. I think it would make a great movie.
We have to appreciate Brooke, like what he does. Next time I see Brooke, I'm going to hug him.
It's been a great home for such a fun environment.
That was worth the price of admission. To see them put that together and welcome Brooke back to Fiserv Forum. The Bucks do really well at that. The rest of it, not so much.
Yeah.
Officially out of the playoffs are the Milwaukee Bucks this weekend, and officially the tone has shifted from, hey, you know what, we might be able to salvage this season to, okay, let's just brace for whatever this offseason brings us. The on-court collapse, the Giannis injury controversy, the elimination, and the looming questions about the roster and the coaching staff. We've just essentially turned this into wait and see.
Yeah, and it was kind of fitting that the game that they're remembering and thanking Brooke Lopez is also the game that ends the streak of the Bucks making it into the NBA playoffs. And you just saw a ton of highlights from the last 9 years of the Bucks making it and playing. And it was kind of just, I don't know, there was a lot of symbolism and just kind of like, all right, now what? As you just mentioned, now we wait and we move on, however that ends up being.
And likely, Bucks fans, brace yourself. This might be like move on. Like those were the days. And now check the box. Gotta go.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Thank God for UConn and Duke. The games over the weekend were kind of duds. Illinois beat Iowa to go to the Final Four 71-59. Arizona beat Purdue 79-64. And Michigan beat Tennessee 95-62. But then last night, as if we didn't have enough heroics here in Wisconsin yesterday, let's all flip over to the Final Four game. UConn and Duke. Duke's blowing them away, right? Oh, yeah, they were up big early on.
Yeah, 19.
Look at them come back. What's going on? There's no way UConn wins. Duke would have to screw up royally in order for UConn to win this game. What's that? Oh, they did that. This is what it sounds like.
And a cut and run through the ball. Who better than this guy? Get it into Boozer. Back for Sarr. Ahead. Boozer. That ball deflected and stolen by Mullins. Caravan, 2 seconds. Mullins tosses it up. It's good. With .3. UConn goes in front.
Incredible.
That's fun to watch.
Yeah. Yep. Man. And against Duke, whoo.
Can you imagine if the Badgers did something like that, like Duke did? I would call in sick.
Yeah, I mean, if that was the Badgers, it would have been like a decade-worthy highlight.
Well, I'm saying, what if it was them on the Duke end?
Oh,
Like, think about that. There was two guys completely wide open on the other end of the court for Duke. They had no reason to play hot pickle.
nope. Just pass it.
Hold on.
Just pass it to one of them, and they hold it, and it's over.
Their whole
game's over.
mindset was, we can run the clock out without ever having them foul us. No, no. Actually, you're up 2. Let them foul you, make both free throws, have a great trip to the Final Four in Indy.
Yep.
Or throw it away and have a miraculous three-pointer go in for UConn. I was at the Marquette game to end the season against UConn, and UConn looked like crap. Leave it to UConn, though, to figure out a way in the NCAA tournament to make it back to the Final Four. Dan Hurley has a golden horseshoe way up there.
I mean, true. I got to say, though, if you're just looking for good basketball matchups, this is a heck of a Final Four. Like having UConn and Illinois and Arizona and Michigan, I mean, that's going to be incredible. The Arizona-Michigan game alone could have been a championship game. It just happened to be regions that are putting them in the Final Four. But I'm still excited to watch those games and see how they play out because they should be very exciting games.
Anything else of note from the weekend, Josh?
Yeah, so I had a crazy moment that happened to me over the weekend. Okay, so I was in Chicago on Saturday, hanging out with some buddies. We had a little day trip down there, and as we're taking an Uber to this place for lunch, we get out of the Uber. I find a guy's on the ground. I find an ID and 2 credit cards. And I went, uh-oh. And I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to do anything with them, but someone else could. So I pick them up, and we go into lunch, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. I was like, maybe I should just toss them. I'm sure, like, if I would have lost them, I would have canceled my credit cards by now. You know, you're going to have to go get an ID, whatever. We're just sitting there, me and my buddies, for like an hour and a half in this lunch place before we're going to our next stop. I end up, my buddy says, hey, you know, I think that if you take those to a post office, they will return them to the address on the ID. And I went, oh, you know, that's not a bad idea. Gives the guy peace of mind. Hey, at least you know no one's out there with the information, even if you canceled it. So I hold on to him, and then we leave lunch. We're walking like a couple blocks down to this next place, and it turns out that place didn't open for like another 45 minutes. I went, okay, well, now what are we going to do? So we decided to walk back to the lunch place so that we just weren't out in the cold. And we get to the corner where the Uber dropped us off, and as we get there, a guy gets out of his car and is looking on the ground. And I went, John? And he looks up at me and goes, yeah. And I went, dude, I have your ID and credit cards. And he went, no way. I mean, it was just the craziest timing of, like, if we would have gotten into that place that didn't open for 45 minutes, never would have happened. If we would have talked to the guy that said it didn't open for 45 minutes for 10 seconds longer, we wouldn't have seen the guy. Like, it had to end up that everything had to work out perfectly for us to be able to find this guy and return his credit cards and ID. Apparently, there's something called the burnt toast theory that describes this. Do you know about that? Okay.
Never heard of it.
So Julie was trying to, like, explain all this to me when I told her, but it essentially was, even if it's something negative that happened to you, it happened for a reason. So, like, it had to be a negative for you in that moment to lead to a positive down the road for someone else in that other exact moment. It was just like an insane thing. Like, everything timing-wise had to work out. I had to be the one to find his credit card and ID. I had to be the one to not throw it away. I had to be the one to then go to the next place and have that guy in that exact moment tell me, no, we can't let you in yet. Then we had to choose to go back. Like, so many things had to happen for that moment to happen. And I just thought, this is nuts. Like, butterfly effect times a billion to be right there. And the guy was so appreciative. It was nuts. He was like,
did he buy a beer or something?
He was willing to. I was like, no, you're good. He was like, I've been calling everybody. I, like, called my parents, like, everyone, trying to find out how could I have lost these. And I was so excited. I didn't even ask him how long ago they dropped. I was just like, yeah, here you go. It was awesome.
Did you make sure he wasn't a Cubs fan? Or
I did not. But he seemed like a really nice guy, so I'm going to say he wasn't.
I would have definitely rubbed it in a little bit.
Mm.
Hey, here's your wallet and credit card. And by the way, go Brewers.
I think I was just too excited about the fact that, like, it was him. He was standing there in front of me.
The universe is a weird place, Josh. Sometimes the stars align. That's cool.
Sure did.
When we come back, we have questions. And the big one this Monday morning. How do we feel about the old ABS challenge system that reared its head a lot this weekend? Not only in Brewers games, but in a bunch of other games too, including the first rage bait ejection of the year in regard to the ABS. What are your thoughts on tappage of the helmet or the hat to go, actually, I don't think that was a ball or that was a strike? It's weird. I want your feedback, and we'll share ours too. Off and running on a Monday morning, a glorious Monday in the state of Wisconsin for Milwaukee Brewers baseball, for Badgers hockey. We get to hear from Matt LaFleur today, and luckily the Bucs season's almost over. That and so much more on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Inside Wisconsin Sports is also a podcast. You can find it anytime at wisportsradio.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite pods. We're there. Catch the full episode, listen by the individual hour, or jump straight to the highlights. Just open up your phone, search Inside Wisconsin Sports, wherever you listen to podcasts, hit the follow button, and you can catch up as you see fit. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It was the introduction. We've seen it before. We saw it in the All-Star game last year. We saw it in spring training. They've been testing this for a minute. This being ABS, the automated balls and strike system. And boy, did it rear its head on opening weekend. And that's the question of the day. What are your thoughts about how this is going to affect the game? I have questions.
When things just don't add up, Trevor and Josh ask the hard questions or just point out how messed up stuff is.
I only have one question. Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious. Do you view this season as a failure?
You asked me the same question last year.
What's the most important question the Badgers have to answer Saturday?
This is a great question. Oh my God, this is a great question.
It's time for I Have Questions on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
The Nicolay Law talk and text line, 414-677-1250. What has you puzzled this Monday morning? What are you scratching your head trying to figure out? For us over the weekend, it had a lot to do with the ABS. We saw it come up in numerous spots over the weekend. It feels like the White Sox pitcher and catcher maybe weren't on the same page about which ones we're going to challenge and which ones we're not. And we also learned that it can go both ways at any time for either person, because we're talking about a quarter inch, and that annoys me. That's my question. How do you feel about it, Josh?
You know, I don't mind it. I really, like, as I've seen it, I really compare it to just when they challenge if a ball was in or out in tennis. And they just have that digital image that they show. They zoom in, and it's just the same. It shows like, half the ball was in, half was out. Like, it can show it down to centimeters, whatever it is. And I go, all right, there you go. But then I realized that, you can't, it kind of, with baseball, it ruins that. Sometimes I want to see them shout at each other. I want to see them yell and get mad and get thrown out and kick dirt. And it's hard to do that when it's, nope. Hey, here's the science. We looked at it. Nope, you're wrong. That part kind of stuck, not having that.
The bummer part is comparing it to tennis, because it shouldn't be. It's not. It's baseball. And the fact that we can actually allow a game to come down to a quarter inch bothers me. It also has a lot to do with timing. You're only allowed a certain amount of time between the pitch and you tapping your hat. Whether you're the pitcher, the batter, the catcher, doesn't matter. You have a very short amount of time. Yesterday, in the Orioles-Twins game, it was the top of the ninth. The game was close, 6-8. Derek Shelton is the manager for the Twins. There's one out. And the pitcher takes one step off of the mound to walk that way because he just struck out a batter, and that's what pitchers do. And the ball was called the ball. The pitch was called the ball. He immediately taps his head, and, the rest is history. Here's what it sounded like.
And Helsley drops in a slider that is called ball 4. I don't think Adley Rutschman.
The previous pitch was called
did
ball.
challenge.
The pitcher is challenging.
Oh, the pitcher's challenging.
Yeah, he put him right to his hat.
Ryan Helsley with the first pitcher challenge. The first challenge by an Orioles pitcher, and Derek Shelton is incensed. He didn't think Helsley got that off in time.
Well, he went right to his hat.
And Derek Shelton's been thrown out. He's arguing with the robots. You can't defeat the robots.
Well, so you get what you got there, Josh, in terms of a argument, but that was about timing, not the fact that
Correct.
It was a ball or a strike.
Correct. Which does the timing aspect of this kind of feel like that's kind of up to the ump? on when it's too late. How do you feel about that not there being gray area there?
Well, that's my problem with the whole thing. Because if there's gray area when using technology to tell me that a pitch was a strike by 1/8 of an inch, but it's up to the umpire's discretion if enough time has gone by on whether the pitch is still challengeable or not, I have questions. Like, why can't we use technology for that? When we go to the board, the first thing that we see could be like, ran out of time, actually. You were 1.2 seconds too late.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like when we think that a NFL team doesn't get the snap off in time and should be a delay game penalty. And they go, whoa, the clock was definitely expired. It's a discretion of the referees. Got to look at the clock and then back at the quarterback and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of the same thing. I think that's kind of BS. That part of the ABS system is kind of BS of just, I don't know. For me, I took an extra blink. And so, sorry, I didn't see you get that off in time. I'm like,
that's weird. Miz even talked about that, how he has no idea if it's a ball or a strike. And it was pretty rare over the weekend to see a pitcher be the one to tap their hat. I don't think that happened in any Brewers game.
Mm-mm.
It was the catchers. And per Miz on Pat McAfee, he said that they as a team understand that's going to be the catcher's discretion. It's not that the pitcher can't. It's that if we're going to challenge, it's definitely with the catcher because they have the best point of view, and even they miss.
Well, but also then when you take the time factor into it, like now you're not only supposed to be confident that it was or wasn't, but also you have to be the one to tap your head. I feel like the only reason why we saw this from the pitcher was he was so confident. He was already walking off the mound by the time that he did it. That was the only reason why.
Yeah, that was it. That was what the manager for the Twins was arguing because it was only the second out in the inning. But that's what pitchers do when they throw a strike. And it's strike 3. They kind of take a step or two off the mound to whichever way they're falling, if you will, after their pitch. In this case, it was a right-handed pitcher, and he was kind of falling off the mound to the left. He took a step and went, wait a minute, that you called that a ball? Hold on, that was a strike. Tap, tap. Well, the manager for the Twins was like, well, you can't walk off the mound. You have to do it right away. So the discretion came in right there. He got ejected, and ironically, the call was overturned. Indeed, it was a strike.
On the Nicolay Law fan talking text line, 414-677-1250, Travis in Kenosha says, solution, use the pitch clock, make it a standard time. So they could do something like that you have a big, clock after the pitch is thrown. There's like 3 additional seconds that then the pitcher would be able to see before time would expire. And then, like, if they wanted to, they could even go to replay on that and go, nope, you can see there the clock hit 0 before anyone tapped their hat. That's true. You could do it that way.
The 920 on the Nicolay Law talking text line, 414-677-1250 is the number, says, Trevor, you just stated that you're not comfortable with something being decided by inches. And what I said was a 1/4 inch. Don't you feel comfortable getting the call correct? Absolutely, I do. I have no problem with the technology. What I don't like is you only get 2. And that's really how I want to sum up the conversation and answer the question. You get 2. You get to get 2 wrong, and then you don't get to challenge anymore. The same thing in the NFL. You get a challenge flag, and you're only allowed XYZ number of challenges if you get them wrong. Same thing in NCAA basketball or NBA basketball. My point is not about the extension of the game and how long it takes, because it's pretty damn fast. My problem is if we're going to use technology to tell me that a ball thrown by a pitcher was a strike by 1/4 of an inch, we're talking about the laces in some cases, caught the strike zone, and you're only allowed to use that technology a number of different times, that's what bugs me. If we're going to use technology to make a decision like that and allow that 1/4 inch to tell us whether it's a ball or a strike, that bugs me because there's 0 opportunity for anybody with a set of human eyes that's going to be able to tell the difference in that. And so we're going to allow that to happen as many times as we can until we get 2 challenges wrong, and then allow the game to play it out as they see fit between the ump and the pitcher and the catcher and the batter. And in some cases, the manager may or may not get involved. There's no easy solution. I just noticed that over the weekend going, geez, we couldn't get that perfect game right years ago with the final out that was gotten wrong at first. That part right there, because nothing was challengeable, we couldn't review that because they had already used that. Goes down in the history books as something where we could have really used technology or a simple replay. But fast forward, and now, that was a strike by a quarter of an inch. It caught the inside. Come on. When we come back, it's the most electrifying sound of the day. We'll give you one guess what that is. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Hey, Wendy's has the official Dunks of March Madness, which means you get the iconic chocolate Frosty paired with fries. It's the perfect opportunity to dunk crispy, salty fries into a decadent chocolate Frosty. It gets even better because when you order from the official Dunks menu, you'll automatically be entered for a chance to win a variety of prizes during March Madness. Order from the official Dunks menu today. Download the Wendy's app for the official Dunks menu for a chance to win big this March Madness.
Two. Fly ball to deep right. It is way back and gone. Yelly delivers in the clutch.
Yeah, you're going to hear that a lot today. Christian Yelich's first pinch hit home run. Call courtesy Jeff Levering and Brewers TV is the most electrifying sound of the day. Brought to you by our friends at Best Electric. Remember, no job is too big or too small for Best Electric. Don't stress. Connect with the best. Call them today or visit bestelect.com.
Oh, usually you come on, Josh, and say your thought. Yeah,
I'm honestly, I could listen to that like the entire show. I put out a tweet from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network yesterday just saying, how many times do you think that gets played in a 12-hour period? From the start of our show to almost the end of the leadoff show that Tommy Wirtz is going to do tonight.
All the times.
Yeah. The number does not exist. It's just, I can listen to it forever. Jeff is so good. Just so good.
He's the best. And so is Lane Grindle. We're going to chat with Lane from the Brewers Radio Network coming up at the top of the next hour. The morning mind dump, the Malott Meets morning mind dump will be the entire hour of 7 a.m. The good, the bad, the ugly from the Wisconsin sports weekend, and a mind dump of epic proportions with Lane Grindle from the Brewers Radio Network coming up at 7. There was something very interesting about that home run, Josh. I wondered if you saw. Did you see the exit velocity of that home run?
Yeah, what was it, like 109, 111?
111 miles an hour.
Yeah. Is that good?
I think so. And what's most important to me is that was Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
And buddy, first to admit, I was worried that we weren't going to see that Yelly ever again. Turns out it's in there. He's got it in him still, which was so awesome. And so many times over the years, we've seen Christian Yelich come up in that spot right there and not come through for the Brewers. A number of seasons have ended with him at the plate, watching a strike go past his bat. That remains on his shoulder. And the crowd yesterday was chanting Yelly as he got up to the plate. That was a special moment for Brewers fans because that's the guy that we're supposed to be able to count on to do these things for us in those moments.
Yeah, and in a pinch hit spot too, right? Like, it's not like he had been in. It was, he gets subbed in for Gary Sanchez, and as soon as, they see that it's Yelly coming to the plate, the crowd loses their mind. He hadn't even swung a bat yet that day, and everyone was ready for it. And then it wasn't like a first pitch either. It was a good at-bat. All of it. The entire thing was perfect. I could watch that whole 4-minute sequence just over and over and over.
Curtain call, the boot, Jeff Levering on the call. The home runs for this weekend's Milwaukee Brewers team were just fun to watch. This Brewers team in general this season, going to be very fun to watch. So let's just not take for granted what was an awesome opening weekend for Milwaukee, because it was not long ago where we were in this very position 0-4 and going, oh, geez, oh, God, oh, crap, oh, no. This is going to be a long season.
I think it's important, too, to just, for me, I'm reflecting on this is a continuation of last season. What we saw this weekend, I understand it was against the White Sox, and you can have that mentality. But the way that they won is exactly how they were putting up wins last season, and that should have Brewers fans excited.
I'm glad that the yips from the Dodgers series didn't continue on. I'm glad that the Bryce Terang that we saw play the majority of last year and play in spring training and play in the World Baseball Classic, I'm glad that's the Bryce Terang that we got. I'm glad the Miz, who is just a ball of joy, and we'll hear from him. He had a epic moment in an interview with Jeff Levering over the weekend on Saturday, talking about his outing and what it's like when William Contreras says, hey, bud, that's not going to cut it. So much to be excited about for this Milwaukee Brewers season. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law talk and text line. The morning mind dump is next, and we're a safe place, especially on Mondays. Maybe you had a long weekend. Maybe something in sports ground your gears to pulp, and you got to get it off your chest and out of your head. Great news. We have an entire hour dedicated to the Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump this morning here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. And so now's your time. Text us. Call us. 414-677-1250. The Nicolay Law talk and text line. Lane Grindle kicks off the Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump next. We'll mind dump with Lane on all of the things that was the opening weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Good morning, Wisconsin. I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Crowd is here, about to blow, waiting for me to start the show. Out the curtain, lights go up, I'm home. Whoa!
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Yelich, a high drive, deep right, down the line, fair, and gone! Christian Yelich, a 3-run blast. And the Brewers have come all the way back in the 8th inning. It is 9-7 Crew.
Mondays are better with that in your ear. Lane Grindle, the Milwaukee Brewers radio network. The home run off of Christian Yelich's bat in the bottom of the 8th yesterday. And the Brewers sweep the Sox and win last night 9-7. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome in Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and live on YouTube and Twitter at WI Sports Radio if you want to join us there. The Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump is now on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Your family and your tailgate deserve high-quality meats at a fair price, safely delivered to your front door. To learn more, visit WisconsinMeatMarket.com and experience the power of the family meal with Malott Meats. The entire 7 o'clock hour is the Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump today. And to start it off, joining us on the Inside Wisconsin Sports Radio Network and the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. The voice of the Milwaukee Brewers Radio Network and the voice that you just heard right there, Lane Grindle. First things first, I hope you have some tea. Just protect. You got to make sure that it was a great weekend for guys like you and to celebrate. How are you, bud?
Yeah, I'm great. It's good to be with you guys. And yeah, what a great weekend. What a great way to start the season, the way the team played, and then to cap it off with that victory that felt so much like a ton of other games we saw last year with this Brewers club, where they just don't quit. They keep scratching and clawing. And, look, I felt like there was this opportunity for them to do that throughout the game yesterday. I really did. And the reason why is because they kept getting guys on and they were lacking that big hit, but it felt like eventually with this group, somebody's going to come up big. And I think it was even that much sweeter that it was Yelly that was the one that came up with the big swing.
Yeah, Lane, I've been saying all morning long that I think that the win out of the sweep, the win yesterday, was the biggest because it showed Brewers fans that the fight that we saw from the team last year and how they got that nickname, the Woodpeckers, because they would just keep pecking away at the score until they climbed all the way back up. That didn't go away over the offseason, and it's back immediately to start this season. That's something great that Brewer fans can look forward to.
Yeah, it's an identity with this team, and it was last year. And I think what we've seen already, and it's 3 games, we have to preface everything with that, right? But what we've seen is that this is an identity. This is a real part of the DNA of this core group of guys. And so that wasn't something that they, had in a magic bottle for a couple of weeks last year. And I don't know that anybody really thought it was. I think people understood this was a part of this team, but I think they've just totally doubled down on it now and shown you that this is how they play Brewers baseball. This is their recipe to win games, and it's going to be a part of this thing for the rest of the year. We're going to have more games like yesterday, maybe not completely according to that script, maybe not identically, but we're going to have a lot more games like that where the Brewers, maybe they fall down a little bit early because that's baseball and it's 162 games. You're not going to want to go home because this team's going to give themselves a shot in the end more often than not.
Somebody on the Nicolay Law Talking text line texted in Lane and said, boys, the fam and I were at the Brewer game yesterday. And in the 6th inning, the wife leans over and says, hey, let's leave at the bottom of the 6th. I mean, it's pretty much over. My reply, how about no? How about no? There was an interesting moment at the start of yesterday's game with Brandon Sproat that I wanted to get your take on. Any manager in baseball pulls him and says, hey, bud, don't got it today. Have a great one. Not Murph. Not Murph. Letting him hang out there, if you will. Not to dry per se, but to fight through it himself. I think that was just as much a message to the team as a whole as it was to Brandon Sproat. And I think that played into their comeback yesterday. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and so I haven't talked to Murph since the game ended yesterday, and I'm excited to see him today because I want to talk to him off air just about like, hey, what was the whole thinking going on with Sproat? Because if you remember, after he gave up the grand slam, Murph went out and visited him. Which,
Yeah,
I mean, you don't see that, right? You don't see the manager go out and visit a pitcher hardly ever. I mean, it is so rare. You'll go seasons without seeing that if they're not pulling the pitchers. So I loved it, and I think my guess was that the message was like, these guys have your back. That happened, but we believe in you. And so start over and compete and give us what you can give us. I would think the conversation was something around that or similar to that. He kind of gave him the pat on the chest as he walked back into the dugout. And then I think from there, it was like, let's see what this kid's made of. We believe in this kid. We think he's the right kind of kid. We like the way he goes about his business because they do. They think really, really highly of Brandon Sproat. And I think it's similar to that Cubs game last year. I think it was early May when the Cubs were in Milwaukee, and Quinn Priester kind of had to battle through it a little bit. And it didn't go so great for Quinn, but he kind of found himself, and things turned after that outing for Quinn Priester. And we know he turned into an all-star caliber starter for the Brewers the rest of the year. He wasn't an all-star, but I mean, he pitched at that kind of a level. So I do think there was some mental stuff going on there in terms of Murph saying, all right, this is a young kid. We could kid glove him a little bit here and take him out and say what you just said, Trevor, like, you don't have it today, but that's okay. We're going to run you back out there next time. Or we can say, hey, this is big leagues and we believe in you. You have to believe in yourself and give us a chance here. And so I think that I liked that approach. It's game 3. Let's find out what we have in this young pitcher that I think's got a chance to be a really, really special pitcher for the Brewers, guys. Yesterday was yesterday. Every guy in this rotation is going to have a tough start at some point. That's just the way that this works. And you have to think that nerves were a part of it and everything else. I mean, he just fell behind. That's what happened in that start for Brandon Sproat. We can talk about the home runs he gave up, but there's a reason why he was in that situation. He wasn't throwing strikes and getting ahead early. And when that happens, typically bad things happen. I mean, it's the simplest thing in baseball. You could go from an 8U baseball game all the way up to the big leagues. If you're falling behind consistently, you're going to give up a lot of traffic and runs. And that's what happened with Sproat.
The last time that we talked to you, Lane, was during spring training. And I had said to you, what is the number one thing we're looking for here during spring training? And you said health. Everyone coming out of spring training healthy. And I remember going, nah, that's not a fun answer. That's not the answer I was looking for, Lane. And then it was 100% spot on because that was the discussion. And then, obviously we've seen now Vaughn joins the list of early season injuries. And yet it seemed like the biggest thing that the Brewers and Matt Arnold focused on during the offseason and in spring training was depth. That's the big word that I've been saying. That's the word so far is depth. And they've won 3 in a row to start the season. And it seems like they prepared for this almost before knowing it was going to happen.
Yeah, well, the last couple of years, they've been in this similar spot where arms have gone down in spring training. You think about Tobias Myers last year going down in spring training when you thought he was going to be a part of your rotation. You can just keep on going down the list. That's why they had to go acquire Quinn Priester in April of last year because so many injuries had taken place. It's just going to happen. I mean, you can just count on it that there are going to be injuries that happen early in the season, and you're going to have to try to navigate those. The easiest way to do that is to build up your depth. I think everybody keeps using this term secret sauce with the Brewers because how they win is different than a lot of other teams, and people still try to wrap their mind around, like, how do the Brewers keep doing this every year? And there's two things. I think the most important thing is culture and mentality and the way they play, the way they grind out at bats 1 through 9. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. The other part of it is depth. And I think it's been overlooked. But the Brewers usually have an answer for almost every injury that happens. Maybe it's not the same guy, maybe it's not even the same type of player, but it's a big league quality player that can give you what you need for that period of time that whoever it is out. Now, the biggest challenge with this, and look, the Brewers scored 29 runs over the weekend, and that's the most in baseball. So they did it without Jackson Churio and basically without Andrew Vaughn for 2 of those games. But they are a little limited in terms of right-handed hitting right now. That is going to be something that Pat Murphy will have to navigate in this time that Churio and Vaughn are both out. That's going to be challenging, I think, at times, because you have William Contreras, and then you have Rengifo's a switch hitter. You have Brandon Lockridge. Now you're not going to see as many lefties as you see righties, so it's not going to be a challenge maybe as big of a challenge every single night. But on those nights when there's a lefty starter, filling out the lineup, I think is going to be a little bit challenging because you may see him do what he did yesterday a lot, and that is have all 3 catchers in the lineup. Caro and Contreras, and then, of course, Gary Sanchez. He may do that quite a bit because that's 3 right-handed hitters that he probably needs in the lineup on those days.
I noticed yesterday that Sanchez is using that axe handle bat. Have you ever swung one of those? Those are sick.
Yeah, those are fun. For an old man like me that doesn't have, I never really had a lot of strength, so I can't say that I don't have the strength like I had earlier in my life. It just kind of feels like you're out back chopping wood, and that's probably what my swing looks like too. So it would work for me, I think, which means I would go, 0 for a million, and I'd do that with either handle. So that's good.
Lane Grindle joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Lane Grindle, the voice of the Brewers Radio Network. But there was an interesting piece on TV that happened on Saturday, and I wanted to get your take on this, Lane. Jeff was interviewing The Miz. Did you see this? We'll play the audio for you.
Yeah.
It was so good. For those that haven't heard it, Jeff and The Miz were talking about what happens when The Miz doesn't have his stuff and William Contreras isn't exactly pleased.
What's your relationship like with William Contreras?
He's the man. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Bill's back there, pointing and pounding his glove and doing all sorts of stuff, so it's awesome.
When he whips the ball back at you because you miss your spot one time, well, what's the indicator there?
Figure your out.
I love it, Miz.
You mentioned earlier the identity of the team. And we remember so much from last year that it was just about fun. Do you see these guys having fun again this year to start the season?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I mean, that's a fun moment, obviously. But that's true with William. I think you talk to any of the pitchers, and you'll watch it. Watch games. There's times where he'll throw a seed back to the pitcher, and that wasn't what I wanted. Figure it out. Be better on this next pitch. I mean, it's a little bit of a message like, let's wake up, let's go here. And I think that's great leadership. And that's what you need from a bulldog catcher like William Contreras is. But yeah, I mean, look at yesterday with Yelich's swing. Yelich is like one of the most even keel guys you'll find in the big leagues, like just steady. He's the same guy day in, day out. If he's 0 for his last 20, you don't really know. If he's 18 for his last 25, he's like, well, I'm in a good place right now, but I mean, he doesn't ride those waves the way other players do. And watch that swing yesterday, and watch him look into the dugout and fire up his club. I mean, that is pretty special stuff. And when he does it, it just means more because he's the veteran, he's the captain, and he's the guy that doesn't show emotion a lot. So when he does, you just know the rest of those guys are coming out of that dugout fired up as well.
Just hearing you say it, Lane, I'm right there too. I love it. Was it not a little shocking when you look back and when you said it was his first pinch hit home run? Didn't that seem like is that right? Let me check the notes twice on that.
Well, when you're Christian Yelich, you don't pinch hit a lot because you're in the lineup every day. I mean, that's the reason why that's the way it is. I mean, he's just not pinch hitting a ton compared to some other guys. Like a Jake Bauers, for a lot of his career, he starts the game on the bench and he comes in and pinch hits, and he's really good at that. Like, that's a skill. There's certain guys that can really kind of come in cold and jump right into it and figure out how to compete in an at bat. But Yelly hasn't had to do that much. So just a special moment. I mean, it's really wild that we're 3 games into the season, and that's going to be one of those moments in September and October that we're looking back on still as one of the moments of the season. And we've already got one of those, and I think there's going to be plenty more to come, but pretty fun to have one on opening weekend.
The depth of the bullpen shined this weekend and really got the Brewers to the port to where they were. Who's your favorite guy out of the bullpen?
Oh, man, it's hard to go against Abner. I mean, the celebration, I suppose if he pitched for the Cubs, I wouldn't like the celebration, but I love it when it's for the Brewers. I mean, that thing is like he's going to have to go on Dancing with the Stars, in the offseason, because like his ability to memorize all the moves is impressive unto itself. But I mean, Abner pitches with so much emotion and his stuff is so filthy, and it's just fun. I mean, every time he runs it out of the bullpen, it's going to be entertaining. But I think McGill is just criminally underrated, in my opinion. I think Trevor is such a steady, good closer that just has the right kind of heartbeat for this. And those two guys are fun. But look, the Brewers have a lot. I think this is a better, I don't have any doubt in saying this. I think it's a much better bullpen than it was a year ago. I think Angel Serpa is a big-time weapon for them from the left side. I think you have a healthy Aaron Ashby, which is a big deal because they didn't have him at the beginning of the year last year, remember? I think, Jared Koenig is going to be an important piece to this bullpen. And somebody like Koenig, you've been giving him the 7th inning the last couple of years. You can put him out there in the 5th now because you have so much depth within this bullpen. I mean, I'm excited about this bullpen. I think it's got a chance to be one of the real strengths of this team.
All right, last one for me here, Lane. There are some people, we saw it on social media, there's been a few people texting in this morning saying, hey, everyone, don't get ahead of yourselves. This was against the White Sox. They're not a good team. What do you have to say to them about how the Brewers have started the season?
Well, I think that it's more about the Brewers than it is the White Sox. The Brewers won 97 games last year. They have been a perennial contender now in the National League. They've won the NL Central 3 years in a row. At some point, it has to become about the Brewers. I get that sentiment. I don't know how good the White Sox are going to be. I think they are more talented than people realize. I think Chase Maedroth is a good player. Colson Montgomery is going to be a really good player. They have a good young core that's going to win some baseball games for them. I think they have a handful of guys on this team that are going to be a part of the next winning White Sox baseball team. I don't know if that's going to be this year. There's a lot of fundamental things they did over the weekend that you just don't see the Brewers do. And I thought that was the biggest difference in this series, is that you could see one team that's been playing winning baseball for an extended amount of time and another team that's figuring out how to win. And the team that knows how to win was the team that prevailed in all 3 of those games. But look, at some point, it's about the Brewers. We have to give the Brewers the credit they've earned. This is one of the best teams in baseball, again, and it shouldn't surprise us anymore. They know what they're doing, from the ownership to the front office to obviously the manager and his staff to the players. People are on the same page. They're moving in the same direction, and it's going to be a fun summer, I think, again in Milwaukee.
The voice of the Brewers Radio Network, Lane Grindle on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Lane, we appreciate you. Before you go, UConn, Illinois, Arizona, or Michigan?
I picked Michigan before the tournament began. I still probably would pick Michigan. I'll tell you what, though, I think Illinois is a matchup problem for so many teams. They are good. Their size, their ability to score in a lot of different ways. I think Illinois is a problem, in my opinion. So, look, great year. Great year for the Big Ten, man. Great year for the Big Ten.
Yeah, it was. Sweet. All right, Lane, we'll chat with you soon, bud. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Lane.
it.
Lane Grindle joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Illinois is a problem. I don't care what the topic is.
Period.
If they win it, I'm sick that next day.
They might.
The Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump continues next with the good, the bad, the ugly, plus all the things that you got to get off your chest and out of your head on this Monday morning as we continue on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
The coffee has kicked in. We're awake and ready to roll. Let's get some things off our chest and out of our heads.
You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, okay?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
It's time for the Morning Mind Dump, presented by Malat Meats. High-quality meats at a fair price, safely delivered to your front door. To learn more, visit WisconsinMeatMarket.com. Experience the power of the family meal with Malat Meats on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line. The Morning Mind Dump, the Malat Meats Morning Mind Dump. Our thanks to Lane Grindle, the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers radio network, joining us to kick things off. And now we jump into what was the Wisconsin sports weekend that we just had. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And, of course, the good starts with the hitting clinic the Milwaukee Brewers put on in their first 3 games of the year. And, Josh, the ones that we featured today are majority either not a Brewer last year or certainly not a hitting Brewer last year.
Very true.
So where do we go first?
Yeah, let's start with Garrett Mitchell. Remember him? Here's an RBI for him on Saturday.
Garrett Mitchell into the 5 spot today. Mitchell back up the middle. That'll score at least 1. Here comes Bowers. Throw goes to second. Garrett Mitchell delivers. Brewers pick up right where they left off from Thursday.
For as much as important it is to come back 4-0 yesterday out of the first inning, so too was true on Saturday for the Brewers on the opposite side. Garrett Mitchell leading off and starting the scoring, if you will, in the first. And Yelly had an RBI, and then Mitchell had a 2-run single.
I think we talked about it a little bit before the start of the season on just, you want to just see what Garrett Mitchell can actually do. Like, I feel like at this point, based on Mitchell's career and the injury problems he's had, every time that he can put up a base hit or a highlight, like, people are cheering for him even more because they've been waiting for this and honestly thinking it's not going to happen. So it's just awesome to see Garrett Mitchell contributing to this team early on.
Audio courtesy of Brewers TV. That's Jeff Levering on the call. Next, we go to
Joey Ortiz,
who hits the ball?
Apparently.
And that's back up the middle. Another hit for Ortiz. Mitchell scores standing, and the Brewers piling on.
How about that? Base hit, stolen base. And another 2-out hit for the Brewers in this series.
Can we just talk about for a second, too, that Joey Ortiz, and I understand it's the White Sox. I understand it's 3 games. But he's batting .455. He's got 5 hits on 11 ABs. Yeah, right? And
all the wood, knock on all the wood. Everybody listening right now, find wood in your car. Maybe you anything. Knock on wood.
And 3 ribbies. I'm just saying, I will, if Joey Ortiz gives us the opportunity to highlight him, you're darn right we're going to highlight him.
Love Jeff and love Bill Schroeder back on the air together. Love Brewers TV, by the way. I mean, they're absolutely crushing what they have been forced to try to figure out. Their tricks of the trade and their fun little gadgets. Super fun to watch. So those 2 from Saturday. So we move then to yesterday when it wasn't looking good for the Brewers in the beginning of the game, specifically from a hitting standpoint, until, well, Gary Sanchez comes up to the plate.
And all year. This one driven to left. It's back, and he cuts the deficit in half. 1 swing, and it's 4-2.
Gary Sanchez saying not so fast. You got plenty of time to get back into this one, and he just did it. On a pitcher wasn't even a strike, a fastball up out of the zone.
I mean, you love to see that. It's funny. in 2024, when Gary Sanchez was with the Brewers, I put out a tweet on April 19th that said, yeah, I'm done with the Gary Sanchez experiment. I don't think this is going to work out. And that irked so many people. And then every time that Gary Sanchez did something, they kept going back to it and back to it. After that home run yesterday, someone literally went back, found that tweet, and retweeted it. And I was like, God, I hope that gets retweeted 100 more times this season and that Sanchez can just be clutch when he needs to.
That's why he's here, to hit home runs off of lefties. That's why he's here. He was not brought in to play first base. That happened because our guy Vaughn on the 10-day IL over the weekend with a broken piece of bone in his wrist. Boys, put your hands away for a hot second or pat him up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Up comes Jefferson Cuero, which confused a lot of people. Sanchez moves to first, and then Cuero go ahead and pitches or catches yesterday. Fun to see those guys start to show their face this early in the season. Last one, here's a new Brewer as well. Luis Rengifo got in the mix yesterday.
And it's a base hit. 1 run's in. 2 runs are in. Terang ends up at third. It is a 1-run game.
I mean, we talked about depth with Lane Grindle. And when they signed Rengifo, everyone was going, okay, so there's your answer at third. And then Rengifo didn't even start on opening day. He wasn't even your starting third baseman. But he gets that clutch hit when they really needed it, scores 2 as they start and climb out of that deficit to go on to give Yelly the opportunity to hit that pinch hit home run.
And Bryce Terang hitting again like he did last year actually leads that inning off with a RBI single to make it 7-4. And then all of the rest of the runs came with 2 outs. 5 runs with 2 outs. Luis Rengifo, a 2-run single, 7-6. And then obviously, well, we'll hear it about a dozen more times in our show alone, let alone the rest of the day. The Yelly 3-run bomb, and the Brewers win 9-7. The Wisconsin men's hockey team also won over the weekend, are headed back to the Frozen Four for the first time since 2010. And they're going after their first national championship since 2006. Here's what overtime sounded like, all 34 seconds of it.
Next goal wins a ticket to the Frozen Four in Vegas. Fitzgerald on a backhand, wedged it in deep. Russell can't get to the puck. Caught! No! Viva Las Vegas on Wisconsin to the Frozen Four. The comeback is complete for Wisconsin. 3 unanswered goals and 24 seconds into OT. This one bounced in.
Amazing.
Did you happen to catch that when it was all going on Saturday?
No. I didn't see it until the highlight that it was done. I checked in at one point and I saw that I think I saw the second goal that the Badgers scored. And I went, all right, there's a chance. And that was the last that I'd seen. And then boom, hey, Badgers won.
We are on our way to Neighborhood Supper Club at Hotel Seymour, which, shout out Hotel Seymour. Killer salad bar, killer soup, killer hot bacon dressing. Oh,
interesting.
Yeah, real good. Oh, anyway, we were on our way there. That's when all that happened. Obviously, the Brewers were in the mix as well. And there was a piece of the Brewers over the weekend as we kind of transitioned to the bad here in the Malott Meets Morning Mind Dump. What are our thoughts on the injury bug, Josh, and specifically Cuero at catcher and Sanchez at first? And Lane Grindle said all 3 Brewers catchers were in the lineup yesterday. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising, and it's going to be part of my Take Back Tuesday tomorrow, a little bit on it. But the fact that it's the same injury, that it's a hand injury, right? And we just gone through that with Churio, and then that being the same thing with Vaughn, that definitely sucks. The fact that it's Jefferson Cuero was just kind of, I had questions more than anything of, okay, that wasn't the guy I thought was going to be brought up or put in that position for depth purposes. But I trust Murph. I trust his team. And it definitely seems like it's a move made more to free up some bats than it is because they need help behind the plate, right? 3 catchers is a lot. So the thing is that it also seemed like Gary Sanchez was brought in for his bat, not necessarily to be behind the plate. So however you look at it, you're going, yeah, he is a catcher, but the move is for offense, not defense.
Emails with invoices attached to it also went out this weekend to those that are in the lottery for Packers tickets for Brown County. Remember, this all came from the 0.5% sales tax, Bob Harlan, the Lambeau Field renovation. There are 2,000 tickets per game that go into a pool of who's going to get the chance to buy them from the Green Bay Packers for the residents of Brown County. I opened up my email over the weekend, and looky there. My home was chosen as one of those that could buy 4 tickets in the 2026 Brown County drawing. Don't know the game. Don't know the time, the day, the opponent. Don't even know if it's a preseason game. 4 tickets, $155 a ticket, plus a $4 handling fee for a total of $624. For a game, I don't know when it is or who they're playing, and the seats are in the south end zone way up there. Josh, are you paying the invoice? Because I am not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely going to be questionable. I feel like the Packers they're pushing it a little bit, and they better be ready to hear from some angry fans.
They have priced themselves out for me. I do not have the ability or desire to pay $624 for 4 tickets in the 300 level in the south end zone to a game that I don't know when it is against an opponent that I don't know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if it ends up being a preseason game, they'll refund you the difference. Those tickets are $77, I believe. But I'm not pulling the trigger on this, and I'm wondering how many others out there listening on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, specifically here in Brown County on WNFL, got this same email and actually bought the tickets. Did you actually buy them, or are you like me? You're going, geez, I can't. It's not that I can't. I don't want to.
Yeah. But so then what? If you like, what's the next step? If you say no?
I don't think there is a step. You just ignore it that you got it and you move on. It's not that I don't have to pay this. My name was entered into the drawing as a resident of Brown County, and I don't think you sign up for this every year. I think you sign up for it once and then you're just automatically in. I could be wrong on that. Most likely, if there's a particular person in the direction of public affairs for the Packers when listening right now, you might give us a call and be like, yep, you actually are wrong on that. But nonetheless, for my family to look at 4 tickets and go $625 for a game, I don't know when it is or who they're playing. And oh yeah, my alarm goes off at 4 a.m. And the message is loud and clear from the Packers: don't sell them. And so many of us in Brown County used to get these tickets and go, sweet, I will sell these puppies and make double the price and we're good to go. Now I don't even want to do that.
Yeah.
Dad kind of scolded us. I don't want to make him mad again. There was some ugly from the weekend, Josh. We're going to get to that next as we continue on the hour-long Malott Meets Morning Mind Dump. But before we go to break, there was a piece that came out over the weekend, and although Sunday Night Baseball didn't start yet, it starts April 12th, we got to see what Josh went to at AmFam Field. It was, now thank you for adhering to your little, you know, let's not talk about it sheet that you filled out. Zach Brown Band. That was a really cool piece to watch.
Yes.
And I slowed it down. I watched the crowd shots, which were all the back of your heads. And I thought I spotted you right in the middle early on.
You see, for literally like the 10th of a second, my arm in the air. This is the clip is on Twitter of the 30-second promo, but this is what it sounds like.
Get ready for Sunday Night Baseball.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside. Been waiting all day for the stars to come and play. There's one thing left to say. It's Sunday night, Sunday night. Sunday. Welcome to the show. Sunday night, let's go. Come on. See the show.
So I heard that about 1,000 times over an 8-hour period.
Did they play it 1,000 times?
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
The band, the band didn't actually sing it. It was recorded, and then they were just like, mouthing the whole thing. But they had to do it and get into it every single time for over 8 hours of doing the same thing. And then they show the promo, and you see maybe the back of my arm for a 1/10 of a second, and I'm like, totally worth it. Yep, that was great. So cool. Now we'll see. We'll see what the actual Open looks like. Because to your point,
isn't that it?
Well, that was the promo that they put out promoting it. And then when they had Sunday Night Baseball on last night, because they did have a game on Peacock for Sunday Night Baseball.
On Peacock, yeah, not NBC, eh?
And I didn't see it. They didn't show the official Sunday Night Open. They just kind of went into baseball. And so I was like, okay, is that because I was watching it on Peacock? Was that
that's
because
why.
of
so NBC Sunday Night Baseball starts April 12th.
Yeah. So we'll see then. But in the meantime, I'll tell you, just hearing that song, it's like it's a trigger. It takes it back. Oh God, please. No, not again.
Real quick, some clarity on these Brown County tickets. Somebody texted in the 239. Let's go. Shorten the waiting list for tickets. Thanks, Trevor. That's not how this works. This has nothing to do with season tickets. This is one game. Not entire season, 4 tickets to a game that I don't know what it is. And that's ultimately why my family and I are choosing not to go in. Somebody else says, come on, Trevor, I pay that much and more to see live music, but not knowing what they'll play, but I love the band. Me too. It's ironic, though, right? Because I would rather go to a concert and not know what I'm getting than to a Packer game for $624. That should tell you something. When we come back,
I'm not going to tell you how to fan.
There was some ugly stuff from the weekend. It involves Brandon Sproat, the Milwaukee Bucks, and did you see the Brewers City Connect jerseys that accidentally got leaked?
Potentially.
Well, let's just for a hot second say that that's what they are. Oh my God, that's bad. We'll review when we get back. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Hey, did you know that any youth sports player can score a free small classic Frosty anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniform? That's right. Just stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a Frosty?
Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, the three pieces of ugliness from the Wisconsin Sports Weekend. A full hour edition of the Malott Meats Morning Mind Dump this morning. We'll see if it's true or not, but on Twitter over the weekend, somebody leaked a picture of what they say are the Brewers City Connect jerseys, and Josh, I am out.
Yeah, I'm praying that those aren't actually them because those are gross.
Mm-hmm.
Like all around.
If that's the truth, then we're 0 for 2 on some of the new stuff from a uniform perspective because the blue jerseys without the blue pants was a miss as well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that there's a lot that goes into the decision and what they want to do, but the City Connect jerseys are something that's highlighted like for every team and judged. And they knocked it out of the park with the ones that they did last year or whatever that was a couple years ago. Boy, oh boy, really hope that there's just a rumor flying around.
There was a lot that went into the decision to keep Brandon Sproat in the game yesterday after absolutely blowing up and giving up 1, 2, 7.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of a rough start. It all started with this.
And Sproat will work from the windup against Montgomery.
Fly ball right center. This is trouble. It is 4-0 White Sox.
First home run of the year for Montgomery, and it's a grand slam.
Call courtesy, of course, Jeff Levering, Brewers TV. But yeah, that was when you went, oh boy, okay. Not good.
And then Lane Grindle talked earlier about just how important it was when Pat Murphy decided to walk out to the mound at the beginning of the game and talk to him after that grand slam. If you're Sproat and you turn around and you see Murph, this is the first visit, by the way, which is usually Chris Hook, the pitching coach. Instead, here comes Dad. oh, God, great. Turned out pretty well, actually. Dad, whatever he said, got him through. And luckily for him, he didn't get a loss. Oof, that would have been bad. That could have been bad.
Yeah, very true.
He'll recover. Speaking of bad, ugly. Okay, the Bucks are out.
They're done.
Doc is not yet. And after the game over the weekend, I believe this is on Saturday, Doc talked about the health of the Bucks in his tenure. Is this an excuse or reality? Take a listen.
You know, it's been disappointing, obviously. Since I've been here, I haven't had a healthy stretch. And it's been your key guys. It's been Giannis, it's been Dame. And, you hope you can play through that, but we just haven't had the ability.
It's an excuse.
Well, to Doc's point, though, there was only 8 Bucks active for yesterday's game.
Yeah, when the season was already over. Like, where they're shutting people down, the Bucks organization is making decisions based on trying to not hurt maybe future assets that they could trade away. The Bucks, ever since they won the championship, have had an injury bug. They've still made it into the playoffs. They've still made a run. They've still been competitive. They just haven't been able to go back to the promised land because they've had key injuries at the wrong time. This was an embarrassment. This was the worst that it's been. And yeah, you can look at injuries, but it can't all be injuries.
Does Doc Rivers get fired or retire?
Yeah, I think he quote unquote retires. I think that's how it's going to go.
Well, he's quote unquote out, hopefully, which way it is.
Correct.
Because it's rebuild time. Around Giannis, not around Giannis, don't know. But either way, the Bucks will have to start to think about what rebuilding looks like. And they're behind the 8 ball because they've traded a lot of picks away over the years. There's a lot of weird squiggliness in regards to where they pick and how they pick and who they got the pick from. And do they have to give somebody else a pick if it's a better pick? Somebody write a book. I have no idea what it's all about.
Well said. Yeah, exactly.
Let's get there and worry about that then. Let's get to 8 o'clock. Tim Allen of Tommy Wardson, Tim Allen radio fame and the post-game show that you cannot miss coming up next. Those two dudes were live on the radio yesterday when Yelly went Yako and it is priceless. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Hour 3 is next, and Tim Allen joins us. Don't you go anywhere.
It's time for your fan weather forecast. Cloudy conditions today around 8 a.m. with a high of 67 degrees. It's currently 44 degrees here in Milwaukee.
I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Crowd is here, about to blow, waiting for me to start the show. Out the curtain, lights go up from home. Whoa!
Listen to this crowd. Phones are out trying to capture some good vibes. 2-2. Fly ball to deep right! It is way back and down! Yelly delivers in the clutch. It's his first career pinch hit home run, and he left nothing in the tank.
My God, how far did that go? A bomb.
Got a curtain call, and deservedly so.
Jeff Levering, Bill Schroeder, Brewers TV. With all due respect to that celebration, not my favorite from yesterday. We're going to talk to the guy that is my favorite, along with Tommy Wartz. They were part of something special here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. It's Inside Wisconsin Sports. Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht.
Hi.
And joining us now on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Tim Allen. Tim, before you say a word, we have to play this for everybody. You, you and Tommy were live on the radio on the post-game show yesterday afternoon as the game was wrapping up. And all of a sudden, Christian Yelich comes to the plate, and here is what it sounded like through the mouths of Tim and Tommy.
Yelich is going.
It's going. Oh, get out. It's
gone. There you go.
Yes.
Christian Yelich gives the Brewers the lead. There you go.
That was awesome. An absolute bomb. 111 off the bat, 421 feet for Christian Yelich. The Brewers winning 9-7 over the White Sox right now.
There you go. Look at this. Go crazy, American Family Field.
That is awesome. That is so awesome.
22 does it. The Woodpeckers come all the way back to take the lead.
Tim, take us through that moment.
Well, see, okay, so here's the deal. This is new to me. For as many years as I've been doing radio, Trevor, Josh, you guys probably more experienced than I am when it comes to, you know, the video thing, and you got hello there, you know, hi and everybody, and you know, I've been a radio guy forever. So the video thing, and just to let our audience know that we are hard in on the network. So what that means is we have to schedule a time to go on. Occasionally it will line up where after the last pitch, you make the switch and boom, game's over. And, you know, we're on within 30 seconds. Other times along the network here, we have to go on, and occasionally that's going to be just prior to the last pitch. So essentially we're kind of walking our way through toward the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you get this real transparent reaction because we're both watching the game. We're following the game here. And things like that are going to happen on the fly And man, that was a huge moment. I loved it. I mean, the Yelly chants at American Family Field. Brewer fever is hot, man. Catch it.
Darn right about that. I love too in your celebration, you bring up the Woodpeckers, and that just put such a big smile on my face because that was the biggest part of the whole first series and sweeping the Sox for me that really meant something. Anyone who says, yeah, okay, but it was against the White Sox or trying to downplay this, they showed that this team is picking up right where they left off last year on how they win baseball games. They can win them so many different ways, Tim.
Yes.
And they can chip away. They can peck away at those leads that other teams have and come back and beat you. And I was just so pumped to see that mentality hadn't left this team and was continuing right off the bat to start things.
Right on, Josh. Right on. And that's the mark of a good team, that you can win in several different ways. You know, it's like watching a Packer game in which, you know, they win on Jacobs, just ground and pound. And then other games, Jordan Love is flailing, 4 touchdown passes. And other times the defense is stepping up and maybe scoop and score. A baseball team is no different than that, a good one, that wins in different ways. And we have to remember that, some of these young players are going to advance just based on osmosis alone. They're that much more experienced. Now, again, you can go to, well, some of them may have a net neutral sort of year the following year. Others may take a little dip up. Others will take a step forward because that's what elite talent does. And are they, I guess you would have to define elite, but how about good, really good talent? Upper draft choices. Everybody knew that these guys were going to come on and excel against their peers to some degree. Well, are they superstar status? No. But are they, going to be advancing in their careers? That's the trick. And so you're right on the second thing you said, Josh, and that is year over year. Each team every year has its own thing. There's a little bit different personality to it. There's some different celebrations going on. You're hearing Sal Frelick now saying, drag him. Well, what that means is grind that at bat out. I love that form of baseball. And this is just me as a baseball fan and a Brewers fan. I love that sort of mentality where you work a pitch count up, even if you make an out. Look at Contreras on his first couple of ABs yesterday. Didn't have a ton to show for it, but he saw some 15 pitches in his first 2 ABs. That's grinding through. This team, you're right, in that degree, has crossed over from the offseason to just chip away. If you're down, just chip away. Now, final thing I'll say on that is the difference here between last year and this year. Offensively, you're right, Josh. It did carry over. However, this team no longer has Burns, Woody, and Peralta. And we're used to that. We're used to stud, and then fill the rest, fill the 4 and 5. Whether that could be an Eric Lauer back in the day, or whether that could be a Quinn Priest or whoever it might have been, Wade Miley. But now we're going to have to, digest some of these starts from young pitchers. And we saw it yesterday with Sprout. Just a little overwhelmed, couldn't find it. Mechanics got out of whack, dug a little bit of a hole there, and they're down 7-2. Well, there's plenty of game left. Yelly said it after the game. He said in the dugout, they were just saying, hey, keep chipping away. Give us an opportunity toward the end there. And man, oh man, was he right.
Tim Allen on Inside Wisconsin Sports. So let's talk about Sproat, but specifically Murph's decision to leave him in and figure it out after making a mound visit in the first. That was special.
That's why I would be a horrible manager, Trevor. That's exactly why. I would be so reactionary and just hit the panic button right away, hit the cruise control. I just nope, that's it. You're done. There were some misplays in that outing too, and I wonder if it played a little bit of a part of Sproat staying in there from Murphy's perspective. Now, number one, Murphy said, hey, you got to figure it out, man. And now's the time to do it, because, had this been a playoff game, he'd have been gone after 2 or maybe 1+, somewhere in there. So that's part of it. But the other part may have been, I don't know this for sure, the other part may have been, you had Sal Frelick helping someone with a home run. You had a misplay by Blake Perkins. You had a drop pickoff throw from Gary Sanchez at first base. That dude would have been out. He'd have been picked off. Just catch the baseball and tag him. That may have played a part in letting him go a little bit longer. 86 pitches for Sproat yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see if that pays off a little bit in his next start.
I wonder if the first thing Murph said was, "Hey, bud, congrats on making the team."
Yeah, congrats. And now you're going to have to figure things out. I mean, I would have advised a hook mound visit way prior to the third inning, but so be it. And the other thing is, as we've discussed here on our morning visits, guys, this young pitching staff is going to take some lumps, and we saw it yesterday. We saw it took 3 games for them to take their lumps a little bit. Occasionally, the offense is going to grab one of those games and pick that up. This should have been a loss. Anytime your starting pitcher gives up 7 runs through 3 innings, you're probably going to lose that game. Mm-hmm. You're looking at probably a 90% chance to lose that game. Well, the offense picked it up this time, and occasionally with a young staff. For major success for the Brewers this year, especially early in the season, if the offense can pick up one of those tough outings from a young rotation guy, that's just going to put him over the top in terms of wins and losses.
Timmy, and I'm not saying it's going to be this way for the whole season. Actually, I'm sure there will be ups and downs. But you talked about it all spring training. I got to let you give him his flowers. Joey Ortiz. Batting .455 through the first series, 5 for 11, with some ribbies in there too, and those clutch opportunities. Talk to us about Joey Ortiz. What are you seeing?
Joey Ortanis. That's what we're seeing here.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Again, if you look at some of the numbers, we were talking with a friend of ours, a post gamer yesterday on the air. We call him Mr. Ferguson. And he had pointed out, if you take a look at the back half of Ortiz's season last year, it was much better. It was presentable, and it was doable. Dude is amazing defensively. We're all aware of that. You saw that double play yesterday between Joey O and Terang. It was just a picture of beauty. So no worries there. But if he can just pitch in, all 9 of your hitters aren't going to be a Dodgers lineup. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen with 29 other teams, and the Brewers are one of them. You just can't get 1 through 9 where it's, hey, man, the lowest batting average we have is 273. Look at this. This team is great offensively. That's just not going to happen. Whether that's, a Sal Frelick hitting 251 or whether that's a Joey Ortiz pitching in here. This is sort of an old school style of baseball team. It kind of is, guys. And that is, just keep grinding, keep going. That being said, if you look back in time to different eras, the shortstop was not expected to do anything offensively. He just wasn't. I mean, you could go ahead and hit 241, and you're fine. Play great defense, pitch in a little bit in the clutch here and there. But outside of that, Joey Ortiz couldn't go anywhere but up, guys. So it wasn't that big of a prognostication by me. Joey Ortiz was going to be a better baseball player. He is a better baseball player than he has shown last year. And so, well, now define that. What is better for this particular baseball team? If you get anywhere near 250 out of Joey Ortiz, and I think what's maybe just as important is keeping that line moving. He's going to hit toward the bottom of the lineup. Get that thing to turn over once or twice more every few games. Get that thing round to the top. Get it to Terang. Get it to Yelich and soon to be, Jackson Churio. Is 250 a target? It sucks that you have to say it that way, but I just justified how that would be acceptable to a pretty good ball club. Trevor, Josh, would you be all right with Joey Ortiz hitting 250?
Yeah, absolutely. I just like I was last year, was way more concerned about that clutch gene and the RBI opportunities than I was the batting average.
And is on base too. If he can, and he's been drawing a few walks here through the first series. That is another great indicator. I mean, maybe Murphy has talked to him like he did Andrew Vaughn last year and said, stop chasing. If you're going to chase, I'm going to sit you. They're not going to sit him. It's the defense, especially early on. You give him the first half of this year, no matter what, because his defense is so good. We'll reconvene here, put him into the courtroom and get a court case going on Joey Ortiz, probably in June at some point. But let's wait until then. And until then, well, for now, I mean, he's been pitching in, man. It's been cool.
Tim Allen joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports. For as much as Joey Ortiz looks good to start the season, so too, in comparison to last season, does the team overall, and specifically the depth of the bullpen. What are you most excited about after the first 3 games?
Man, that bullpen. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
They just bullpens tend to turn over year over year for a lot of teams. They just do. It's a round robin, spin the wheel. And I remember years ago when Seth McClung was in that bullpen for the Brewers, and on the show I had this bit and a little sound effect of a wheel spinning, and it's time now to spin the bullpen wheel of doom, starring Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. You're the next contestant. And so that's not the case with this organization anymore. Now, the back end, we saw Trevor McGill yesterday. We saw Abner Uribe over the first series. Jared Koenig got involved yesterday with a really, really good outing. Look at Grant Anderson with a couple of scoreless. Jake Woodford has been pitching in. And these guys got something cooking here a little bit with that bullpen. That's really impressive. And you look at the numbers. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking along the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network that, Tim, come on. Let's stop celebrating the World Series here. You just swept the Chicago White Sox. Well, look at the way they did it, though. Look at the runs scored, runs allowed, holy run differential. Isn't that what you're not supposed to beat bad teams 2-1, although we take it. But if you're on the judgment scale, don't you just crush bad teams if you're a good team? If you're a middling team, okay, fine. You beat them 3-1. You only had 5 hits in the ball game, but you scored 3 runs, and your pitching was dynamite. It's just the White Sox, and you're an okay team, but they're worse. No, a good team crushes a bad team over the span of time. Now, once in a while, I get it. It's baseball. Their starting pitcher is dynamite and just shuts you off for a game. But in a series like this, I just don't want to hear it's only the White Sox, because it's the way they beat the White Sox that is impressive.
Very, very true. Very true. I'm all in. The only negative talking about over the weekend, talking about Vaughn going down 2
That's tough.
Is there some point where we go, okay, this is why we plan for depth, but we need to brace ourselves because this is gonna come back to bite us at some point.
Yeah, this is really tough, and that's why this offense, just every single win, every single good night of offense, whether they win or not, I think is a good sign, because then you add in 2 really good bats in Churio and Vaughn in about a month, and it just, all these guys, this experience, this Lockridge, and even to a degree Blake Perkins and Garrett Mitchells, and all these guys getting some ABs here, that's going to do nothing but help once Churio and Vaughn are back inserted into the lineup. That this experience, hey, who knows? It's going to be a big pinch hit situation for maybe Lockridge down the line. Going to be a huge situation for a lot of these guys. Gary Sanchez, for example, he's going to be in a lot of big moments. There's no question about that moving forward in the season. But yeah, the health of these guys, it hurts. It does. No question about it. But I guess the positive side would be getting experience while still maintaining some wins here. And that's the thing. What a difference a start of a year makes last year to this year. Wow. What were we talking about last year? Calling the Yankees cheaters, I think.
Yeah,
about this time last year.
Stupid torpedo bats.
Yeah. Whatever happened to those? Are people still using those?
I think they're still around, but that opening weekend, boy, did they get a showcase, for God's sake.
it was like corked and torpedo bats.
Yeah.
It really was. I know
That
it
was-
wasn't, but well, you never know these days. But
Had nothing to
yeah.
do with the Brewers pitching for sure.
Yeah, Nestor Cortez, home run
Yeah.
derby. Yes.
Tim Allen, join him on the pre and the post. Correct, sir? What time today?
Tommy's got the leadoff show coming up tonight at 5. An hour and a half gets you ready for Brewers and Tampa Rays. The Rays are a similar organization to the Brewers, so this is going to be a fun series. Woody's going to be tomorrow. Kyle Harrison, the lefty, tonight, and a day game at American Family Field on Wednesday. That's going to be Mizorowski's second start, so maybe skip work or call in sick or take a half day, do what you got to do, and get down to American Family Field. Then after the last pitch, you make the switch along the network here, Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show, and hopefully celebrating again to go 4-0. It would be fitting. 0-4 last year, 4-0 this year, wouldn't it?
Let's go. Yes,
Sure
it
would.
Tim Allen, the franchise himself. Make the switch tonight after the Brewers game. We appreciate you jumping on Inside Wisconsin Sports, bud. Good to see you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim Allen, the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. When we get back, Matt LaFleur talks this morning at 9:45 Central Time from Phoenix at the NFC Head Coaches Breakfast. That is the first time we'll hear from Coach LaFleur since he said goodbye after the day after the bad loss against the Bears. If you were at the table this morning, got some eggs, a little toast, maybe some fruit, and Matt LaFleur, what questions do you have for Coach? 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law talk and text line. You get a seat at the table, Wisconsin. What do you need to hear from Matt LaFleur this morning to help you go, okay, we're good. Everything's going to be just fine. We'll do that next. The Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios are powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We are Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
First of all, you got to acknowledge it and accept it for what it is, and then try to find ways to learn from it. But I think ultimately you got to use it for fuel. I mean, this one stings, and it should sting, and it should sting for a long time. And when these guys are training away from the facility, and there's a moment where, oh man, I don't feel like doing this today. It's like, hey, think about how you felt in that locker room. Maybe that can get you motivated to get up off your butt and do what you need to do to get a little bit better. That's going to be the message to our guys, is you have to use it as fuel.
That's the last thing Matt LaFleur said to all of us before riding off into the sunset to what is the offseason. Until this morning. What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome in Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. A reminder, if you miss any part of today's show, you can listen at any time at wisportsradio.com, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Search for us, and there we are. We found him. He'll be at the breakfast table in Phoenix this morning, Coach LaFleur, with those that are on the beat for the Green Bay Packers. Our question to you, Wisconsin, on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. You're at the table this morning. Coach talks at 9:45 Green Bay time. And other than, hey, Matt, can you pass the salt from the 262? What questions do you have for Coach, knowing what we just heard for him and him talking about the gut-wrenching loss against the Bears and using it as fuel in his end-of-season press conference? What do we want to know? I mean, we haven't heard about Gannon. We haven't heard about some of the changes in terms of staff with special teams. We haven't talked to him about any of the additions or subtractions. Josh, you go first. If you're at the table, what are you asking Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I would be asking, what's the reason why the Packers are better than the 7th seed this year? We just have to be better. Tell me what, with this team currently, what's going to be the thing that we look back and we go, that's the reason why they improved?
And I wonder if he'd be able to answer that, knowing that there's so many pieces that are yet to be in the box with all the rest of the puzzle pieces, whether it's the draft or free agency or trades or whatever the case may be. They've shown us numerous times over the last few years that, hey, don't set us in stone, specifically even the week before the season starts.
He better have an answer, because if that question wasn't already asked to him by Ed Policy after last season, I'd be stunned. That needs to be something before an extension is announced, saying, all right, tell me why. When we bring this all back, we run this back, we do it again, we extend you, tell me why, what's going to be the reason that this next season is going to be better.
Yeah, and Policy came out and asked and said that they had a conversation about, are they all on the same page? Matt, Goody, Russ Ball, the love triangle of the Packers' top brass. Are we all on the same page here? How are we moving this thing forward so that we're not, again, the 7th seed, so that we're not looking at this from the back to the forward? And ultimately, what does the roster and the coaching staff need to look like so that's not the case? 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. For Coach from the 906, hey, can I come to your Football Hall of Fame induction? Right.
Yes, burner phone. Yeah.
Ron and Rome, for Matt LaFleur, your whole offense is based on a good running game. What's going to change next year to ensure we can run when we need to maintain a lead in the fourth quarter? Or maybe, Ron, a question would be, hey, how do we maintain a lead in the fourth quarter? Any ideas on that? And maybe what went wrong? Because you've had 2 months since we talked to you last, Coach. Have you analyzed at all how in the world we couldn't keep a lead those last 5 games?
Matt in Minneapolis on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, 414-677-1250, says, I would need LaFleur to talk about what he is changing to his system or offensive play calling to get us over the hump. I know he won't talk specifics, but if he talks about a return to what he was already doing, we are cooked. That Matt in Minneapolis.
The 920 says, how would you like some humble pie to go with those eggs, Coach LaFleur? And the 612 right after says, so, Coach, what's your plan on how to do better in the fourth quarter, especially in the game that's close? That's Bob, Minneapolis. I think if there's a question to be answered, it's that, Josh. How in the world, in the most polite way possible, did we blow the lead in those games to end the seaon, even without Tucker Kraft, even without Micah Parsons, the hurt team that was the Green Bay Packers still had a lead in all of those games.
Yep. The 715 said, how have you as the coach made yourself better with second half adjustments and relaying that information to your players? I like that because it's not about saying we got to be better, players got to be better. How? Don't just say it. How? Give me some examples over the offseason of what you've tried putting in place for you as a coach to be better.
Well, whether it's new staff or changes to the defensive scheme, or in this case, Cam Acord, hello, new guy at the special teams head honcho position. So to the 715, how are you cleaning up a special teams that played a huge part in losing games and ranked near the bottom for the last few years? That's not the place you want to be, coach.
No, but we did see improvements there are answers to that, right? You can find those answers in regards to special teams. They did things even pre-draft, right, to help special teams.
You're being facetious.
No, I'm saying like they went and obviously they got it. They have a new coordinator, and then they went and they signed Sky Moore, right?
Yeah, but this person's asking, how are you cleaning up what is a huge piece of the game where we rank near the bottom? So, yeah, new coordinator.
Yeah, new coordinator,
new return guy.
and a new return guy. Those are two parts right there.
Yeah, but the kicking thing didn't exactly go well. So what's the plan there? What's the plan on some of the schemes in terms of catching the ball on an onside kick, Romeo Dobbs?
Sure.
There's so much that went sideways last year from a special teams perspective for the Packers, and numerous spots that they need to address. Having a good return man is a great start. Having a new person at the head position in regard to special teams is also a great start. The 920, though, in very simple form, from the Office Space movie. Matt, what would you say you do here?
Yeah. And I would love to say, in comparison to what Mr. Stenovich does here, that's one that I would like answered. How do you and the offensive coordinator split duties? When I'm watching the games as a fan, can you please let me know who I'm supposed to be upset or happy with? Because I don't know what lane I'm supposed to put those feelings in between you and the OC. Help me know that. That's a good question.
A few more on the Nicolay Law Talk in text line, 414-677-1250. Coach LaFleur speaks this morning from the NFC Head Coaches Breakfast in Phoenix, Arizona, where the NFL annual meetings are taking place. They started yesterday. They're through Wednesday. Some fun was had on Twitter over the weekend. I wonder if they're going to put the Bears head coach and the Packers head coach right next to each other in the annual NFL head coach picture. What's that going to look like?
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
There's going to be a buffer, I'm pretty sure. So what question do you have for Coach? Shoot us a text, 414-677-1250. Matt LaFleur speaks this morning for the first time in 2 months.
I like this one from Tony in Oak Creek. If you were GM of the Packers, would you have given yourself an extension after how last year ended? That's really one of those like interview questions. If you were in my position, what would you do?
Right. The 608 has a really good one here about clock management. Ask him how he's gotten better with that. What are you doing with your timeouts? How are you looking at clock management as a whole? There was numerous times over the last few years specifically, and a lot in his first 7 seasons as head coach of the Packers, where it just didn't look like he even knew where the clock was, right, and or how many timeouts he had left at any given point. I think clock management is a huge piece to this and definitely goes and comes into play with blowing those leads.
So here's my question for you, Trevor, based on these questions that we received from the listeners on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. How many of these questions do you think we get answered? Not tomorrow, but just in general, let's say by the start of the season. How many of these questions do we have answers to that aren't just the generic, well, it starts with us being better?
There's a lot to say about not showing anything behind the cheddar curtain at 1265 here in Green Bay. There are some things, though, that he has to speak about. There's too many glaring issues for him to ignore, and he was admittant of a lot of those in his last press conference in the end of the season. Specifically, not much. We're not going to know specifics, but we will know high level. He's got to talk to us about Gannon. He has to talk to us about Acord. He has to talk to us about what the plan is with Micah Parsons when he comes back, most likely off the pup. And that's something, by the way, that needs to be talked about. There's a number of different things, right, that they vote on at these annual NFL meetings. Things like onside kicks apparently being allowed at any point in the game, or more tweaks to the dynamic kickoff. There's apparently new authority for league personnel on disqualifications and them using technology to watch for things like this, and that had nothing to do with the actual play. Dad's watching all the time. Emergency officiating is coming up at the NFL meetings in Phoenix this week because the officiating work stoppage is a thing. It expires on May 31st. And so apparently the NFL and the teams are talking about what happens then. And we all remember what happened in Seattle with the complete, incomplete, whatever that was with those refs that weren't exactly the top tier either. But to the pup and Micah Parsons, and specifically getting answers from Coach LaFleur on some of these pieces that seem to be missing from the puzzle for the Green Bay Packers, there is votes being had that could directly affect Green Bay about the reserve/pup return timeline. They're wondering if it would be feasible to change a piece of the bylaws to allow players on the reserve/pup to start a 21-day practice window after the club's second regular season game. That has a lot to do with the Packers' ability to make the roster adjustments they need to at the beginning part of the year. And so specifically, Matt, I would love to know how you believe we're going to look at the start of the season versus the middle of the season. I know we got to get the rust out and do all those things, but there were some major injuries on your team last year. And so if there's anything that you can give us specifics on, it's how are those guys doing, and what are your thoughts on that potential change to the NFL bylaws that would allow a guy like Micah Parsons to start a 21-day practice window and come off of the pup after the second regular season game?
Yeah, that's a good one too. I just, like I said, I try to, what do you say about expectations? They're
disappointments waiting to happen.
Yeah. Right. And so when you hear things like this, or when you bring up this topic, it's just know these are questions we have, but I feel like if we get answers, you're not going to be satisfied with them. He's not going to tell you anything that's going to be like a thank you. That's what I needed to hear. I would be stunned if you did. And now I'm not just talking about tomorrow with the breakfast, but I'm talking about when he does get in front of a podium and when Gannon is introduced. It's just these are things that I feel like talk is cheap and we need to see it. And we're not going to be able to see it for a summer. So just hold tight.
Yeah. Wait and see. Wait and see. When we come back, Rami joins us, a crossover with our friends from 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff as we approach the top of the hour and so much celebration from a Brewers perspective from over the weekend. A little sidebar about the Packers. That's important when they make the news, especially when coach is going to talk. But we'll go back to the Brewers with our favorite Cubs fan, Rami Makloff, next on Inside Wisconsin Sports, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
2-2. Fly ball to deep right. It is way back and gone. Yelly delivers in the clutch.
I hope that gets played 1,000 more times today.
Yep. I was like, you know what? I want to hear it one more time. Just on our show. Why not?
Jeff Levering, Bill Schroeder, Brewers TV, the Yelly bomb in the bottom of the 8th that gave the Brewers the 9-7 lead that Trevor McGill was able to uphold as we welcome in Rami Makloff from 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Rami, not comparing apples and oranges to your favorite team in our Milwaukee Brewers, but as a baseball fan in general and working here in Wisconsin on Wisconsin Sports Radio, that's a good weekend for the Brewers.
Hell yeah, it was. Yeah, that was especially the ending there, and you just heard it, courtesy of Brewers TV. Yeah, that was a great weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers, and a great ending to a great weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers. There's no denying that.
How was the weekend in general for you, good sir?
Pretty good. I think I caught a little something. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I think I caught a little something. Other than that, I did go to the Cubs game on Saturday and saw the one win that they got over the Nationals this weekend. So that was fun. Always good to get out to the ballpark and visited some friends in the area. So it was a good weekend. Can't complain other than the catching something. I don't know what it is.
How do you guys treat the man cold? I mean, that's what we're dealing with here, and it is a very, very severe illness, the man cold.
Yeah, I'm trying not to, when you just try to ignore it, like when it first starts happening and you're like, oh, it's probably nothing. It'll probably just pass. I started feeling like the little itch, the scratch in the throat when I woke up yesterday, and it just keeps getting just a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. I feel like when that happens for me, that it becomes the most severe when there are things I'm supposed to do around the house. You know, like chores, things I'm supposed to get done. It's like, wow, all of a sudden this cold is just kicking my butt. Like I'm just
get it done.
I don't know. I think I got to lay down for a day or two.
A day or two?
I think might need to be that's the recipe for success there, I think.
Yeah, I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite to that point yet, but we'll see. We'll see how things progress. We shall see.
We just talked about Matt LaFleur talking this morning at the NFC head coaches breakfast down in Phoenix. He speaks at 9:45 Green Bay time this morning. Jeff from Luxembourg on the Nicolay Law talk and text line. Rami, we asked everybody to, if you were at the table, what question do you have for Matt LaFleur?
Mm-hmm.
And a few tables away, there too is the head coach for your team. But Jeff says this, the conversation that we just had in regards to Matt LaFleur and asking him to show us what we got for this coming season. It's kind of the same thing with Greg Gard and the Badgers now 3 years running. So what are we doing different from a program perspective to get to the second weekend? And the same goes true for the Packers. Do you feel that, Rami, in Wisconsin sports where maybe we're just more susceptible to the same old?
Well, I think there is an element of being a little, first of all, there's an element of being a little bit spoiled, that your teams are always in it, but can never quite get over the hump. And it hurts more when you get close and then you get gut punched and you get knocked out. You know what? That hurts more than being out of it midway or 3/4 of the way through the season. Like the Buck season, the way that it's going to end, it's not like some dramatic blow that like you went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. You know what I mean? We sort of had a long time to come to terms with what this Buck season was. You don't always get that opportunity with teams that give you some promise, give you some hope. They get right there and then they fall short. That hurts more. So there is an element of not appreciating how good things are because of how badly things end. You know what I mean? Does that make sense, Trevor? But things are really good around here. Like when you think about how often the teams make the postseason and give you something to root for the entirety of the season, and you're not checked out halfway through. But yeah, you do want them to get over the hump at some point, obviously. And I think the thing keeping the Packers from getting over the hump, and if I was going to ask Matt LaFleur one question, it would be, what are you doing differently in end of game situations? Because to me, that's the one like hole in Matt LaFleur's game. I think he's a really good head coach as far as being a play caller and a game planner and a motivator and all those things. I think he checks off a lot of the boxes that you need a head coach to check off. But a lot of the time, the processes and the decision making at the end of close games leaves something to be desired. And I want to know, like, what are you doing differently rather than doing the same thing over and over again and getting similar results?
I saw Rob Domofsky post a picture of the seating arrangement within this ballroom in Phoenix where the NFC head coach's breakfast is. There's a buffer between Matt LaFleur and Ben Johnson. His name is Dan Campbell. Literally, the table between those two is the Lions. If you were at Ben Johnson's table, real quick, Rami, what would you ask?
Oh, that's a good question. Because he checked off so many boxes not that he was perfect by any means, but he checked off so many boxes that you want a head coach to check off in his first year as a head coach. I'd say, where do you think you can get better? I think that's the question you ask a coach who had a successful first year, which I think most people would deem Ben Johnson's first year as head coach of the Bears as successful. Where do you think you personally can get better as a head coach and do something to get even more out of this team than what you got out of them last year? I think that's the glaring question for Ben Johnson.
Hopefully nothing.
Yep. For you, yes.
Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully, the question is, how do you sustain it? And then the answer is, we can't.
Or I'd ask, how does this team get better on paper? Because till now, I don't think they've gotten better on paper. Quite honestly, I think the Bears have gotten a little bit worse on paper. If I'm being brutally honest with you.
Mic drop.
Okay.
What's coming up on 9 to noon?
Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about that Brewers weekend, the series, and the way that series ended with the Christian Yelich home run that we heard coming out of the break. Doc Rivers, is he making excuses or does he have a point? We'll obviously get into some Final Four talk and much, much more here over the next 3 hours on 9 to noon.
Our thanks to Lane Grindle of the Milwaukee Brewers Radio Network for joining us to kick off the Malott Meets Morning Mind Dump at 7 a.m. this morning. So awesome to hear all the things behind the scenes from the radio booth and how the Brewers season started. Our thanks to Tim Allen, the franchise himself, and really just thanks to him and Tommy for what was an unbelievable reaction.
Yeah, they've had a lot of highlights already this season.
Yeah, they have. Hitting parlays, celebrating dingers. What's next? Make sure to tune in later. The pre and the post on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. We are inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh, and we're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and we will see you tomorrow.
Because we're not done yet.